Council President, I would like to call the regular meeting of the Elmwood Park Mayor and Council to order for June 18th, 2015 at 8:02 p.m. On roll call, Council members Caramagna.
Here.
Coletti.
Here.
Martino.
Here.
Patagano.
Here.
Boncino.
Here.
Council President Dombrowski.
Here.
Mayor Mola is absent this evening due to his wife receiving an award.
Yes, ladies and gentlemen, as if I may ask you before you stand in for the prayer, I'd just like to let everybody know that Jerry Mola, the wife of Mayor Mola, is receiving an award for the Bergen County Historical Society tonight, and that is the reason for Mayor Mola's absence today. We as the council congratulate Jerry on her accomplishments, and we thank her for her services. At this time, please rise for our prayer and our flag salute. O God, our Father, we ask you to bless our meeting with the entrust you and your fatherly care and protection. Please remove all selfishness and prejudice from our hearts and implant therein a keen sense of justice and a greater love for you and our neighbor. Guide us in the deliberation so that our decisions will always please you and bring you peace and happiness to our community. Amen.
Amen.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Whereas Chapter 231 of the Public Laws of the State of New Jersey requires the commencement of every meeting a statement of compliance to be read by the presiding officer. Now, therefore be advised that the meeting requirements for this meeting have been met by published in an annual meeting notice to the Record of Hackensack, Herald News of Woodland Park, and by posting such notice in the office of our borough clerk, as well as in public places within the municipal building, and by notifying interested citizens. Said notice was posted on January 1st, 2015. Ladies and gentlemen, this meeting is being videotaped and will be available on Cablevision on Channel 77 on Tuesdays at 12 p.m., Thursdays at 4 p.m., and Fridays at 10 p.m. It will also be on the FiOS Channel 40, again, same times, 12 p.m., 4 p.m. on Thursdays, and 10 a.m. on Fridays. You may also see it by visiting the borough website, www.elmwoodparknj.us.
Council President, we'll begin tonight with the approval of minutes for the January 22nd, 2015 work session.
May I have a motion to accept the minutes?
So move.
Mr. Caramagna.
Second.
Mr. Patagano.
On roll call, Council members Caramagna.
Yes.
Coletti.
Yes.
Martino.
Yes.
Patagano.
Yes.
Boncino.
Yes.
Dombrowski.
Yes.
Motion carries. Council President, under ordinances this evening, we have two ordinances on second reading. The first is Resolution 219-15, introduce ordinance 15-13 on second reading. Whereas public notice has been given by the Borough Clerk that an ordinance entitled an ordinance amending and supplementing Chapter 34 of the Code of the Borough of Elmwood Park entitled Zoning and Site Plan Review. And whereas said ordinance was introduced and passed at a meeting held on Thursday, May 7, 2015. And whereas all persons interested in said ordinance were given the opportunity to be heard concerning same at the June 4, 2015 regular meeting of the Elmwood Park Mayor and Council. Now therefore be it resolved by the Mayor and Council of the Borough of Elmwood Park that an ordinance entitled an ordinance amending and supplementing Chapter 34 of the Code of the Borough of Elmwood Park entitled Zoning and Site Plan Review pass on final reading.
Can I have a motion, please?
So move.
Second.
Mr. Martino, seconded by Mr. Coletti.
Discussion.
Any discussion?
If I may,
Certainly.
Council President. Tonight, in passing this ordinance, which consists of expanding the commercial zone on Market Street and Route 4 by 50 feet, we are addressing a parking problem that has existed for quite some time. This expansion is strictly dedicated to 30 feet of parking and 20 feet of green area. No building can be built in this restricted area. This ordinance will stimulate owners and businesses to invest in these properties due to the fact they no longer have to apply for costly and time-consuming variances in order to have ample parking to support their business. We would like to thank the Planning Board for their blessings on this ordinance. They have reviewed the specifics and made 5 recommendations that the Mayor and Council unanimously agreed to. Our town planner has stated these areas are experiencing economical obsolescence and are in need of a proactive rehabilitation. This ordinance does just that. This renaissance will not happen overnight. However, the tools of its nourishment will be in place. This mayor and council, in designing this ordinance, have taken steps to protect all residents related to this expansion. Case in point, all rights of existing residential zone are still intact. New commercial zone laws will overlay existing. The value of the homes in the 50-foot expansion will increase. Homes bordering the new zone will see a 20-foot screening area of green planter. Business patrons' parking currently spilling over onto connecting residential streets will lessen. Let's keep in mind this ordinance clearly states no resident is forced to sell. No resident is forced to sell. We envision with this ordinance, old and outdated property will give way to modern and new fresh business district. This is not a panacea to the problem. However, this ordinance provides the tools to correct the problem in the future. My congratulations goes out to each and every councilman here tonight, along with the mayor and council that have come before, for having the intestinal fortitude and foresight to implement a bipartisan plan that benefits the future of this town. Mr. Council President?
Thank you, Councilman. Is there any other discussion? I would just like to point out that on June 4th, we did ask the public to come out and speak, and at that time, we had 6 individuals get up and talk. 5 of them were from the Route 4 area, and 1 was from the Market Street area. Of the 6, 4 of them had discussed and complained about parking on their streets, which we all understand. 1 of them was in favor of it, but also brought up sticker parking, and then there was 1 resident that was completely against it. There's a multitude of residents that this would affect, and the 6 that came up certainly were listened to and heard. But the one thing I'd like to point out is that you were talking about parking, and what we are trying to accomplish today by passing this ordinance will help alleviate that parking that's going to be on your street. What we feel, and I think Councilman Voncino has already addressed it with the police department, this is more of a, making sure that our laws that we currently have are being followed. So, at this time, is there any further discussion? Okay. Call the roll, please.
On roll call, council members Caramagna,
I must abstain because I have a conflict. I own a commercial property on Market Street, so I abstain.
council members Coletti,
Yes.
Martino,
Yes.
Patagano.
Yes.
Boncino.
Yes.
Dombrowski.
Yes.
Motion carries. Council President, this evening on second reading, we have Resolution R 220-15, introduce ordinance 15-18 on second reading. Whereas public notice has been given by the Borough Clerk that an ordinance entitled a bond ordinance to authorize the remounting of 2 ambulances onto new chassis in, by, and for the Borough of Elmwood Park in the County of Bergen, State of New Jersey, and to appropriate the sum of $220,000 to pay the cost thereof, and to make a down payment to authorize the issuance of bonds to finance such appropriation, and to provide for the issuance of bond anticipation notes in anticipation of the issuance of such bonds. And whereas said ordinance was introduced and passed at a meeting held on Thursday, June 4th, 2015, and that further consideration of this ordinance will be taken up at this meeting. And whereas all persons interested in said ordinance were given the opportunity to be heard concerning same. Now therefore be it resolved by the Mayor and Council of the Borough of Elmwood Park that an ordinance entitled a bond ordinance to authorize the remounting of 2 ambulances onto new chassis in, by, and for the Borough of Elmwood Park in the County of Bergen, State of New Jersey, to appropriate the sum of $220,000 to pay the cost thereof and to make a down payment, to authorize the issuance of bonds to finance such an appropriation, and to provide for the issuance of bond anticipation notes in anticipation of the issuance of such bonds, pass on final reading. Council President will need a motion to open to the public on this ordinance and this ordinance only.
Motion to open to the public?
So moved.
Move.
Mr. Voncino and Mr. Catamagna? All in favor?
Aye.
Okay. At this time, is there anybody here in the public that would like to be heard on this particular ordinance of taking the box off of the old ambulances and putting them on new chassis?
Seeing no one, a motion to close.
If not, I will close to the public portion. Can I have a motion to close the public?
So move.
Mr. Catamagna?
Second.
Mr. Patagano? Call the roll.
That was a motion to close the public
Thank you.
portion. We could do that by voice vote, Council President?
I'm sorry, yes.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Okay, and now we'll need a motion to adopt the ordinance.
Motion to adopt,
So moved.
Mr. Vancino,
Second?
Mr. Coletti. Call the roll.
On roll call, council members Catamania?
Yes.
Coletti?
Yes.
Martino?
He's absent.
Oh, he left? Patagano?
Yes.
Bonsino?
Yes.
Dombrowski?
Yes.
Motion carries. Council President, this evening under the consent agenda, we have Resolution 221-15, payment of bills, Resolution 222-15, confirmation of payroll, Resolution 223-15, approve release of engineering escrow for Riverfront Residential 2, 224-15, approve relocation of bus stop for Market Street and Midland Avenue, R225-15, approve block party for Lily Arts Lane and 15th Avenue, Resolution 226-15, approve purchase of bus for the Recreation Department, Resolution 227-15, approve services for housing element and fair share plan for our borough planner, Caulker and Caulker. Resolution 228-15, a resolution authorizing the withdrawal of a bid for Market Street force main improvements from Matina and Sons, Inc. Resolution 229-15, bid award Market Street force main improvements to the Unuzi Group Incorporated. Resolution 230-15, approve design and construction services for improvements to Boulevard Section 10 for the Alimo Group. Resolution 231-15, approve license and new or used car dealership to Shore Motors Incorporated. Resolution 232-15, renew liquor licenses for the 2015-2016 license term. Resolution 233-15, appoint firefighter Michael Rojecki for Company 4. Resolution 234-15, appoint firefighter Brittany Roman, also for Company 4. Resolution 235-15, refund tax overpayment due to tax appeal, 5 Paul Corner Place. Resolution 236-15, refund tax overpayment due to tax appeal, 30 Paul Corner Place. Resolution 237-15, refund tax overpayment due to tax appeal for 16 Midland Avenue. Resolution 238-15, refund tax overpayment due to tax appeal, 40-60 Elmwood Terrace. Resolution 239-15, reappoint Recreation Director Donna Puglisi. Resolution 240-15, appoint seasonal employees with the Department of Public Works. Resolution 241-15, resolution authorizing the suspension of Elizabeth Carreras. Resolution 242-15, authorize maintenance of 57 Martha Avenue, and Resolution 243-15, approve length of services awards program, LoSAP, for calendar year 2014.
May I have a motion to accept the consent agenda?
So moved.
Mr. Patagano,
Second?
Mr. Catamania. Any discussion? Call the roll, please.
On roll call, council members Catamania?
Yeah, I say yes to all the resolution that you read, except the resolution 231-15. I vote no on that one.
231.
What was that? What number was it?
231-15.
231-15.
Okay. Council members Coletti?
This is on,
This is on the consent agenda,
The whole consent agenda.
221 through 240.
excluding 231?
No, he
voted.
Just
voted no on that, but
I
yes on the
voted
remaining
Okay,
consent.
yes.
Martino is absent. Petagano?
Yes.
Bonsino?
Yes.
Dombrowski?
Yes.
Motion carries. Council President, under departmental reports this evening, we have the Finance Department report for May 2015, the Municipal Court report for May 2015, and Library Board minutes for April 20th, 2015.
May I have a motion to accept the departmental reports?
So move.
Mr. Catamania,
Second.
Mr. Petagano. All in favor?
Aye.
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 And lastly, we have applications for American Legion Post 147 bingo license, American Legion Post 147 raffle license, St. Leo's Holy Name Society non-draw games and wheel license, and St. Leo's Holy Name Society 50/50 license.
May I have a motion to accept the application?
So move.
Mr. Catamania, Mr. Coletti.
On
All
roll-
in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Call the roll.
That concludes my report. Committee report.
At this time, I'd like to, we'll have the council reports. Mr. Catamania, would you like to start?
Thank you, Mr. President. New mayor. First of all, I want to congratulate all the graduates. Last night we attended the middle school graduation. It was an excellent event. And now I know how much I miss teaching. Just when I see those kids, I know for a while. And tonight, worse yet, the high school kids that I had in my class, most of them, congratulate all of them. It was also this evening was an excellent graduation. Was very calm, very professional. I was very impressed. Thank you. Also, I want to extend my condolences to good friend of the Italians and Italian Americans. We lost Antonio Ciappina. If you remember, he was a teacher at the Kennedy High School when he came to the United States. Then he became a journalist. And he worked for the Progresso, the Italian newspaper Progresso. And then when the Progresso changed name American Oggi, he was very much involved. And he worked until the end. He was 90 years old, a gentleman, a scholar, a person that people should not forget. And I went to his wake this afternoon. We all gonna miss him. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilman. Mr. Bonsino.
Yes, thank you. Just a quick word about Resolution R 2/2015. That was on second reading. We're bonding approximately $220,000 for our ambulance corps to upgrade their two vehicles, take the existing box and put them on new truck chassis. It was a more cost-effective way for the ambulance corps to pursue an update for the vehicles. And by bonding it, we're helping them finance that. And through the stipend they get annually, we'll come up with a payment plan to pay back that loan that we're giving them. Also on the ambulance corps, in last week's community news, there was a letter to the editor from Howard Meyer. He's the president of the EMS Council of New Jersey, which used to be, when I was on the ambulance corps, called the New Jersey State First Aid Council. But he talked about the challenges facing volunteer EMS throughout the state, challenges in recruiting new members, retaining members, raising funds, maintaining their equipment and maintaining training and certifications. And he also highlighted how time-consuming it is for these volunteers to maintain their certifications with new regulations that are imposed, and they're being imposed on volunteers, and it makes it difficult for a volunteer to give up their time and meet all these different requirements. Our EMS volunteers throughout the state answer thousands of calls. And not only do they answer emergency calls, but they do standby services at public events in town. They do training and information for our residents. And, after Sandy, after 9/11, we certainly see how these volunteer first responders are called upon when there are significant, stressful situations in our community. So I bring this up only to highlight again, support the ambulance corps, support our volunteer fire department, and they really rely on the public for that support to continue what they're doing. And then I just wanted to congratulate, I didn't make the middle school graduation last night. I wanted to congratulate our eighth graders who are moving on to high school. I attended the high school graduation this evening. I want to congratulate our high school graduates, both at our high school, public high school, and for other area high schools where our residents are graduating. There's a saying from a Chinese philosopher: the journey of 1,000 miles begins with a single step. And I want the graduates to be lifelong learners. As you enter your adult life, you're bound to come up against some hurdles that'll make you take a step in a different direction. But if you continue to be lifelong learners, you'll get by those hurdles and you'll achieve your life's goals. And don't get caught up. We live in a society today that measures success by how much you accrue, what kind of car you drive, what the size of your house is. I was at a recent college graduation where the speaker said, you can win the rat race, but you'll still be a rat. So what you need to do is take the gifts that you're given, whether you're going on to college, whether you're going to a trade school, entering the military, wherever your life takes you, take those gifts that you're given and make the people around you better. And if you could do that, if you can improve your family, if you could improve your community, if you could improve the world, you'll truly make a better place for all of us. So keep that in mind. Good luck. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilman. Mr. Patagano.
Thank you very much. I also want to congratulate the middle school and the high school graduates. There were some really, really fine words spoken about both classes. The middle school, just a quick story that was told last night. There are a couple children who are handicapped, and they had a dance. And these children were standing off to the side most of the night. But this group of students made sure they all rallied together and brought these kids out onto the floor and made them feel really special. The principal cried last night over that, and I can understand why, because of all the negativeness that has been spoken about our schools and even about our students. And I just want to congratulate this group for being so above the rest. And I think that this is just the beginning, because I remember them saying how bad this graduating high school class was, and they turned out to be quite a bunch. So I want to say it's a testament to our teachers, our administration over there, and the good work they're doing. I also want to thank Bill Pasquale for coming and speaking some really inspiring words to these graduates. On the rec front, Friday night movies was a big success last week. There were over 100 people there, not just children, but adult couples. I unfortunately couldn't make it, but I think I will next time. We are holding two more, one in July and one in August. I'm not sure of the exact day, but you can speak to the Call to Rec or go on our website. Also, summer camp is closed. We hit our limit of 400, and camp will start on June 29th. We will be trying to fit more in. We'll see how that goes. It's a very popular program, and our director does an excellent job with that. The Spray Park, also on July 29th, will open. It'll be $40 per person per season, up to 3 people. Seniors and toddlers are free. And that is it. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilman. Councilman Coletti?
As you can see, our mayor looks a little different here tonight. And as our council president has said, Mayor Mola is not with us this evening. I've been here 13 years, and I can count the amounts of times that he's missed on my hand, and that's considering his annual vacation. And as our council president has stated, it's in honor of his wife, who's receiving a very prestigious award, the Bergen County Historical Society Award. If you know Jerry, she's very quiet in a sense when she gets to be part of an organization, but she rises to the top very quickly. She works very hard. And Jerry, I hope you enjoy it. Regarding JIF, I attended a meeting yesterday, and the compensation cases are up this year to the tune of like $1 million. We're still good, though. Our surplus is still well near $8 million. These compensation cases were to be expected, considering the severe winters we had, a lot of slips and slides. But all is good there. And congratulations to all the students achieving their first goal, a short-term goal, high school graduation. And as all the councilmen here have said, there was plenty of nice words that were said by our assemblyman and the superintendent and other people. But I did hear in the back, there was a couple students singing, "No more pencils, no more books, no more teachers' dirty looks." So we can't take that away from our children, even though they're not children any longer on their way to adulthood. Yeah, they can sing that for a couple of days, but they got to start thinking about where they're going next. Are they going into the work field, or are they going to college? So let's let them enjoy it this evening.
Thank you,
Council
Councilman.
President?
Thank you. For my report tonight, I'd also like to congratulate the high school and the middle school graduates. The high school graduates, I'd like to remind them that they are now Crusader alumni, and what it means to be a Crusader, it really means a lot. I've graduated in 1983 from Elmwood Park, and I have to tell you, I'm very, very pleased to consider myself to be a Crusader alumni. I hope that they continue taking part in the Crusader programs after high school. I'd like to thank also Congressman Pascrell for his speech tonight to the graduates. It was very nice. And finally, I'd like to mention about our Board of Health. We had Community Day 2 weeks ago, and I think we had a wonderful Community Day. We had a lot of people out there. We had our councilman up there with the bucket list singing, and he did a very, very good job, Councilman Coletti. It was a really fun day, and then the day after, we had our first bike ride down the boulevard. I wish there were a few more residents that had their children out there that day, but there was quite a few. But we will be also doing the bike ride on the first Sunday of every month. So I believe the next one is July 5th, if I'm not mistaken. And that'll take place from, I believe it's 11 to 2. So again, I congratulate the Board of Health for putting together a great Community Day. People got their blood pressure taken. We had the Bergen County Animal Shelter with their adoption van. As a matter of fact, a few people from our community adopted a few animals, one being our assistant borough clerk, who was enjoying, I think, a kitten or two. So I just, again, it was a great participation, and other than that, the rest I have progress. So, Mr. Attorney, do you have anything to? Progress? Okay. Well, at this time, I'd like to, if there's no one else to be heard, I'd like to open up to public portion of the meeting. Can I have a motion to open to the public?
So moved.
Mr. Bonsino.
Second.
Mr. Petigano. Okay. If there's anyone here from the public that wishes to be heard, please come up to the microphone, state your name and address for the record.
Good evening.
Good evening.
Members and neighbors. I've been looking forward to meeting you for a long time. My name is Rick Rodriguez. Okay, they know me as the Riverman.
Where do you live, sir?
Okay, in Settle.
We have your address, just for the record.
So, 414 North Midland Avenue, BB1 07663. Well, I sort of live there, and when I'm not living there, I'm living in the river. As many of you know from all the articles and all the photographs that have been, and there's lots, and I've literally got thousands, I have 3 agendas for the last 3 years. One, to clean the Passaic River. And as you know, it needed a lot of help. 2 was to create a recreation destination. You know, up to now, if you were a kayaker, a boater, a canoeist, you'd probably have to travel 2 or 3 hours north to participate in those activities. And I said, how crazy when you have an amazing river 5 minutes away. And around the time that I started kayaking in the Passaic River, you would barely never see anybody for a couple of reasons. It had a distinctive reputation. When you asked them to describe it, they would tell you 3 things you could probably find in that river, and I won't repeat them. You probably know. So my job was to change the reputation of the river, turn it into a recreation destination, which I did by doing a number of different events. I would do kayak and boat parades down the river, very successfully and with wonderful participation. The other thing, as a realtor, I had a great interest in, most times, waterfront property has extra value. with the exception of the Passaic River waterfront property. So I figured if we can change the impression that people have, the reputation of it, wouldn't it be great if values of homes could increase, get more taxes, but also, this way, my office is in Fairlawn, and when people call for looking for places to live, it's a real positive. So the great news is, you know, I deal with Brian Davenport from Passaic Valley Sewage all the time. He's a wonderful supporter, and he knows what I've been doing, and I can tell you that from when I started cleaning the river 3 years ago, okay, last week I realized it's really getting cleaner. And how do I know? 3 years ago, I'd come home after working hours in the river, and boy, would I smell. Last week, I got in the shower and I said, damn, I don't stink tonight. It's getting cleaner. In the middle of the river, it's about 5 feet in the Elmwood Park Marina. I was able to see turtles lying on the bottom of the river.
Awesome.
Now, over the last 2 years, okay, I've been taking a little sandbar downriver, which nobody knows about, and I've cleaned it up, and I've taken debris that's on the island. I made chairs, I made tables, I made a sanctuary. And I love when I get emails from people that say, and I got one last week, the guy's motor broke down. His day was going bad, he landed on the island, fixed his motor, and his day turned around. And I get, I've had about a dozen of those things. People never expect to find a sanctuary in the middle of the Passaic River, and there is one. And as early as this morning at 7:45, I was being interviewed by WBAI, K Radio. It's not a local radio, it's not a regional radio, it's a worldwide radio. And I was talking about Elmwood Park, and I was talking about the Passaic River, and explaining to them what we've been doing, because they heard about it, and they wanted to know. And it was very encouraging. We got lots of response from that interview this morning. So my interest is, one, I serve the river. I want to make it healthy. I serve the community because as a realtor, it benefits the residents and of course the city. And for sports enthusiasts, how delightful to have a great place to paddle that they're not afraid of falling into. And they don't have to travel 2 hours there, 2 hours back, spend $50, $100 in gasoline and tolls. I have achieved that. I've been wanting to speak with you guys because I like doing lots of events. Up to now, I've done it on my time, my dime, but I'd love to get involved with the town. It killed me when I read a news report saying that Elmwood Park was one of the 10 most, and you know that article that we saw?
Mm-hmm.
I couldn't believe it. And there's no reason for it, and yes, I was angry. So, okay, I'd love to assist you guys so that never happens again. So I don't know how we can communicate, how we get together, but you name it, I'm there. I met with Mr. Mayor Mola 2 weeks ago, and 3 weeks ago I was down at the police captain, and I did meet with Liptak, okay, Detective Liptak, and I had told him I've got at least 12 programs that involve the children, very specifically the children, because to fight the pollution, I've come to realize that people that have bad habits and they're already more mature, they're not going to change them probably. The kids can influence the parents. And I've seen it happening lately like there's no tomorrow. So we've got to start working on the kids. I approached the high school and the middle school that I want to do programs where we take garbage, and guess what? Let's do what I did on the island. Let's take garbage, make it into art, do an art show. Let's have the kids come out and do a photography show like I did. I took students from Saddlebrook High School, 8 of them, the photography department. I took them down the river. They took the most amazing photographs of your river, our river, that if anybody would like to see, I've got them there. Nobody knows it's the Passaic River. And every place I go, I show it. They're beautiful. This river has so much potential. The towns surrounding the river do as well. And it would take this much effort to really make things happen. I'm starting something called a drum circle, which I call Sounds from the Ground. Everybody goes out, gets 2 sticks off the ground. Find garbage. You get into a circle and you start making music. You do a drum circle. And when you get done making music, throw the garbage away. We've already started, it works great, we should talk about that. My sister, who, in fact, Memorial Day, we were invited to be part of the Garfield Parade as well as Saddlebrook. And 2 weeks ago, I cleaned up the Saddlebrook Pond at the request of Mayor White, and I've never seen a cleaner park ever. The kids were fantastic, but the highlight for them, they couldn't wait to get into the pond and kayak, and we had to literally drag them out of there. So, if you've got the ears, I've got a lot of programs that would not cost a lot of money, that you really should try to take advantage of because things are changing, and the kids are the future. That's my focus, you know, and the river's already getting better, thank goodness. Public awareness has to get better, and with your participation, your support, I'd love to work with you guys. Thank you very much.
Mr. Certain.
I want to applaud you on your endeavor. I think it's noble, and it's good to see you now glowing.
By the way, shut off the lights. You were glad, by the way, so you know, people sometimes wonder, who the heck is the guy paddling up the river at 9 or 10 o'clock at night?
Yeah.
And in fact, by the way, it's amazing when you're on the Passaic River and you cannot see.
Yeah.
You have to listen.
Yeah.
And to hear the carp and the birds and stuff
Now,
like
that's
that.
what I wanted to get to. As a young boy, I grew up in Passaic, and I actually swam in that river. Now we're talking quite some time ago.
But now you're giving away
And I'm
the
still
place.
here, so.
I
But
suppose-
I do have relatives that are fishing the Passaic River now, and they're saying identical to what you're saying, that the fish life is coming back.
Yep.
Water is cleaner, and that's really, really good to hear. When you think, just give me a minute. When you think about going back 300-400 years in the Indians, and you talk about Elmwood Park by the high school there, and you just look at the lay of the land and how it just naturally seems to have been the spot that the Indians would have put their canoes in, where we have our marina, the natural lay of the land. This must have been beautiful at one time, and I applaud you on your endeavor.
By the way, my sister, who's my event coordinator, if you remember at the Great Falls this year,
Can you show that to the camera,
they
please?
had a
Thank you.
Native American celebration. And they had hundreds and hundreds of people come out, which surprised the heck out of me. And what was interesting, the Lenape Indians,
Sir, Mr. Rodriguez, can you speak into the microphone? Unfortunately, they can't get you on
No problem.
there. Thank you.
okay, the Lenapes, which were the tribe that were here, okay, had a very vibrant community and still do. And fortunately, because my sister's a filmmaker, she was able to do a documentary on the tribe, and we're very close to the chief. One of the things that I would love to do, and I've already discussed it with them, is do a powwow here, because we had, in fact, we did an event that day in the Patterson Museum, which most people don't even know exists, which is amazing. And so between the culture, the dancing, the drumming, you could not believe it. In fact, one of
Okay,
the
can we invite Democrats and Republicans alike
if you have to,
to that powwow?
we could use a couple of liberals.
And let's not forget the independents.
Yes. But the event was incredible, and you know what? I'd love to do something similar because the native culture was so much a part of this area that, you know, I want to start, in fact, giving out information about the culture so that people start developing an awareness. So that's one of many, many different projects that I'd like to do, including a river choir. And my sister, at the last events in Saddlebrook and Garfield, she was the one, as well as Paramus, was the one that sang America the Beautiful. And Kate, she's advised me that she would love to, at your next very special event, because she's a truly phenomenal performer, she said she would love to do the same for you guys. So
Maybe in our centennial, we could use her
I would
next year.
love to. Okay, and you can call,
As a matter of fact, I will be cheering the music for that centennial. Give me her information, and I'll contact her, and we'll see how that works.
that'd be perfect. What I'd like to do is find out if I can get a hold of you guys so that we can talk some real nuts and bolts on things to do.
I like,
Have some cards.
yeah,
Through-
I'd like to,
through you.
I'd like to address you, Mr. Rodriguez. First of all, I love your passion. You can hear it in your voice that you're passionate about what you do, and you've done great things for our river, and we thank you for that. You mentioned that you'd like to get some more involvement through us. What I would like to recommend to you, though, is to sit down with our rec director, Ms. Donna Puglisi. We have a recreation board, advisory board, that you can give all of your ideas to, and we could coordinate it, because we're talking not just, mostly children, let's say. We'd like to get the children involved, and also have adults, but I'd recommend that you sit down. They have a meeting at the end of every month, the last Monday of the month. Actually, one coming up this Monday.
22nd.
This coming Monday, there's a meeting at the Recreation Center. It starts at 7?
7:30.
To 7:30. And bring your ideas to them. The reason why I say that is because we need to coordinate a lot of different things around this. When we have an event that's going to bring multiple people, one, we want to make sure we have security. Two, in case there is an issue where there's a rescue that needs to be made, that we have the ability to do it. So there's a lot of planning in this, and I'm sure you've got a lot of this already thought out, but from our point of view, we have to make sure that we cover ourselves, especially if we're getting together.
Do things the way you want it.
Right. If we're going to be doing things together, we got to make sure that we cover ourselves as a borough as well. So my recommendation to you would be, if you can't make it to Monday night's meeting,
I'll be there. When is it?
it's 7:30 at our recreation facility located at the corner of the Boulevard and Market Street.
Okay.
Okay? Councilman Pettigano is the liaison there, and he can certainly give you some pointers if you want to wait till after the meeting.
Absolutely.
And, but again, I'd really like to say thank you for what you do for our community and for what you're doing for the river.
Well, we have a lot more to do, and I can't wait to do it.
Great.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Keith, did you want to say anything? I'm sorry.
I'm good.
Is there anybody else from the public that would like to be heard? Just checking, how much time do we have left on that tape? 10? Okay. Sir, if you could just state your name and your address?
Jeff Marston, 41 Elizabeth.
I'm sorry, Jeff, what was your last name?
Marston.
Marston? Thank you.
Yes.
Yes, sir.
Couple things to mention. Past couple of weeks, I've been in touch with the mayor's office.
Speak into the mic. Thank you.
Past couple of weeks, I've been in touch with the mayor's office to add some no parking signs on Columbia by where Rosemont Park is. That was completed in a timely manner, and I'd like to appreciate the mayor's office for having that done. A couple other things I'd like to mention. A couple of years ago, last time I addressed the council, I asked two questions about the parks in Elma Park. One, there's signs up that the parks close at 9 p.m. And I asked about having that changed to dusk, like school property. Haven't seen that done. It's been 2 years, couple months. Anybody have any comments on that?
We did change that.
We did.
2 years ago.
Yeah, the ordinance is that it closes at dusk. If the sign hasn't been changed, we will make sure that that gets taken care of. And Councilman Pettigano,
Rosemont, right.
Rosemont Park.
Right.
Councilman Pettigano, you're the liaison to the DPW. Can you please make sure that that is
Sure.
addressed with Scott? And can you give Mr. Kazmark, after the meeting, your email address, and we'll make sure that we respond back to you in a timely manner as to what your concern is?
Ironic that you mentioned that. That happened about 2 years ago, because it was about 2.5 years ago when the sign was changed from dusk to 9 p.m.
Our ordinance is to
And at
dusk.
that same time is when they took down the no parking signs on Columbia. So that's
Are
kind
there
of
any
ironic.
sports events that take place in the park you're referring to?
No,
No.
well, there's signs that say you need a permit. for
No,
those
is there any
events, but no.
baseball
No.
or soccer practice?
No.
Okay.
The other thing at that time I had addressed about was the condition of the jungle gyms that are at the park. There's like a platform where kids stand as you go up the jungle gym. The mount on it has been snapped and broken and been that way for almost 2.5 years. I've addressed the mayor's office several times, sent him pictures on a couple different occasions. Still like that. The swing is now recently broken, about a month ago. The light, I addressed the mayor's office about getting the light fixed. I even gave the secretary the poll number lights still out on one side of the park. It's been that way since last summer. The last thing I'd like to address, this past Thursday at the rec center, a select amount of parents were informed of a change at the elementary school and the middle school, where aftercare is going to be taken out of the schools and put into the rec center. One of the things that was mentioned is currently there's about 55 children where there's 4 certified teachers and 4 aides. Currently, the school system has about 200-ish children that they want to throw into that mix, and they only want to double the staff. I don't know if you guys heard of this. I know
They're
you were there about this.
Initially, they have 200 children coming over because they're counting the per diem, which we cannot do. So that number is actually going to go down to about 150. As far as the number of aides and teachers to students, we will make sure that we have those numbers in place. We're very conscious of liability in our town, and that's a very important issue. So if and when the time comes and you don't see enough people out there, I can assure you we'll address it, and I can assure you that it will be taken care of prior to starting up the after-school program.
Yes, and prior history, as you noticed, some of the parents at that meeting that you also attended were also mentioning that during last year's summer program, there was a variety of staff that do sit under the makeshift tent on their phones and whatnot, not exactly supervising the children like they should. My child goes to this summer program last year as well as this coming year.
If you see that, you have to report it. My daughter was in the park one day. She was just with her children. She saw the same issue. She called the rec director. She took care of it. We want to know about these things. They're very important. They must not be on their devices, and they must be attentive to the children in the playground. If you see contrary to that, please make a phone call, report where it is. Very
The
important.
flip side of that, isn't there cameras there?
Not in our parks.
Not in all of them, no. Not in all the parks at Borough, there are
Well,
some
I'm talking
parks.
about at the rec.
Okay.
Yes,
Isn't there cameras at the rec?
I believe so, but
They may not
in
be,
that
they may
exact
not be
same
focused on that spot.
Right, in that exact same spot where I'm not sure where you saw that and when it happened. So, you know, if the camera wasn't pointed at that spot, we wouldn't see
That particular
it.
parent that voiced that concern, I've witnessed that myself,
Mm-hmm.
picking up my own child, which,
Hmm.
okay, my child's not damaged, I'm fine, I take her home. But as I mentioned, some of the staff that are watching the children in the aftercare program, you know, they're not paying attention to the children like they should.
Mr. Marston, if I may, we completely do not condone any of that kind of behavior, and we will make sure that that is brought to the attention of our rec director, who will be running the program, and making sure that if it does happen this year, there will be some consequences for the counselor that's been found guilty of not following the rules. That is definitely one of the rules that she has for all of the counselors. So,
I'm confident in her ability.
and we are too.
She leaves at 4:30. After she leaves, who's supervising the counselors?
Supervisors.
We have
We have
supervisors.
supervisors.
Well, if people are mentioning that people are talking on phones, obviously the supervisors aren't supervising.
Well,
But again, unless you bring that concern to us, okay, we can't act upon it, unless it's observed. So if it's observed and reported back to either myself as the administrator or to the rec director directly, we will follow up on it immediately. And that's why Councilman Panagano's point is well taken, that if there is a concern, you need to bring it to the appropriate personnel so that we can address it with the people who work for us. With regard to the transition, and I appreciate that. Of course, we're not in the middle of the program right now, so there's no one to address it to, but in a few
But we
weeks,
will.
we will be monitoring that appropriately. This transition of the after-school program that's going to go into effect in September, you referenced the meeting that was held. Both Donna Puglisi and I will be attending the Board of Education meeting on Tuesday night to discuss with the Board of Education that transition as we begin to work out the details for us to retake that program beginning on the first day of school.
You know, also to make mention that this transition, that this happened, from what I understand, you guys have to vote on this. You know, and if that's presented to you to vote on, can you put some sort of mandates to have some sort of strict supervision over this?
They're already in place.
It's already in place.
Okay.
There will not be a formal vote for the mayor and from the mayor and council to take back this program. I remind you that a number of years ago, the recreation was the primary after-school program that was sponsored, and then the school district made the determination to move forward and create what's called the CARE program. Now, because of budget restraints and the ability to retain employees for a certain amount of hours during the course of a work week, the Board of Education has asked that we consider taking back that program. So we've had these operational procedures in place for a very long time, even predating my employment here. I can also tell you that during summer camp we managed 400 children. With, quite frankly, I'm not going to say we had no complaints, but we happen to be known as one of the more premier programs for young people in the area. We have people from out of town that try to get into our program with the outside fee that we offer because the program down at the rec center has a very, very prominent reputation.
Yes, but taking the children and putting them in the setting for maybe a month or two, month and a half or so, it's a little bit different than taking those same children, maybe a little bit different, and then having them go there months. After a month or two, a child gets more comfortable, and then you start to see, you know, behaviors you wouldn't normally see in a short amount of time.
Our after-school program has strict requirements that the children have to participate in doing their homework before they get to participate in the playtime or the recreational aspect of it. There's also a structure, a schedule that structures out when they have a snack and so on and so forth. So as it's been presented to me, and I've been down there, years ago when we did host the program, and I've been down there since we host our current program, I've observed a very structured setting. I can't speak for what the school district does. I'm sure they do a fine job, but I've never been there to see that firsthand because it's not a program under the borough's purview.
Okay, but that's just the main concern, not for myself, but as well as many other parents that are in town. Obviously, that was kind of a hostile meeting that night. Not just necessarily me, but a variety of parents challenging this happening.
It's a very unknown to them right now. It's very difficult when you have to take your children from a comfortable situation to a new situation that you feel is untried. But I can assure you that we had an after-school program. It was very successful. It went to
Yes, you mentioned that.
It went to the high school, and now it's back to us because we do such a good job, and they don't want it. So there is no real choice here. But what we are doing is putting in place all the old and some new requirements and restrictions and anything we need to get this done right.
And through you,
I understand that they don't want that. I understand there's a budget constraint, and I do believe this has to do with amount of hours paying the medical. I'm assuming the aides that are there.
There's a certain amount of hours that those
Right.
employees can work under the school district.
I'm sorry, Mr. Marston, I want to let you to continue, but we need to change the tape so that we can go on to, for our cable. If you could just hold off for a second, I'm just going to, okay. Mr. Marston, please continue.
Through you, Council President, if I could just make one other point. When we first sat down, myself and Mrs. Puglisi, with Mr. Greco, the superintendent, interim superintendent, the original thought process was that we were going to have to run this program out of the schools. And, then you have satellite areas and you have supervisors who are assigned to those locations. To Mrs. Puglisi's credit, she came up with a plan, working with the folks who operate the senior citizen side of the recreation center, which is operated by the county, to be able to utilize that part of the facility after the senior hours are over during the after-school program, which will allow us now to house all the children who are involved in this program under the recreation center's roof, rather than having the various satellite campuses at the schools. So we did that because we really wanted it to be under one roof. We felt a new setting outside of the schools, which the kids have already been to for a 6-hour period, 6.5-hour period during the course of that day. that giving them a new setting at the recreation center and one where we could control the full supervision because it would be in our building, would address some of these issues that you're bringing up now. So that decision was strategically made as well when it comes to supervision of the children.
Have you thought about the current aides that are there? I've spoken to a variety of them. You cut their hours, don't offer them, let's say medical or whatever it is.
That's not us.
That's
the
not our
Board of
decision.
Education.
That's not ours.
Do you,
That's not our decision. That would be the school board.
do you expect all of them to stay with the town?
That's up to them.
And
That's-
we offered, and this is public, we offered Mr. Greco the opportunity to have any of his current employees who wish to remain on, that they would absolutely be given an interview and most likely be given first preference. But keep in mind, they're being retained by us now. So we have to have the confidence that that employee is going to be up to the standard that we like to keep.
Separately than the standards that the school has?
I'm not second guessing the standards of the school, but we want our recreation director and our staff down there to be comfortable with the people that we are giving the responsibility to watch after those children.
Okay. Plus, years ago when the rec did host this, children were a little bit different than they are now. They're a little bit more active as years go on. You see this. You also have a no tolerance policy, which in the elementary schools is laxed versus you have a no tolerance policy at the rec, which is very strict. Expect to see a lot of issues.
If I may, I believe that the Board of Education has a no-tolerance policy to bullying or anything else like that, so I believe we pretty much mirror, or they mirror what we have.
My child gets hit. She hits back. Scylla was out at 16th Ave. The middle school principal comes down, wants to suspend her for a week.
Mr. Martinson, I don't mean to cut you off, but that is a school board issue and not really our issue. And but I could tell you that, if that happens in our rec program, it will be addressed not only with the one child, it'll be addressed with both. So again, I'm not trying to cut you off, but what you're bringing to us is an issue that's the Board of Education, which this council does not control. And we certainly want to make sure that we follow our rules. All the children that will be part of the summer camp this year will have to follow the Board of Rec rules. Each parent, when you're signing up your children, I believe it's also online, of what the rules are. And I highly encourage any parents that are signing their children up for summer camp, that those rules are read to their children as well.
And that's also another thing, as far as having to sign them up. We have to sign them up for the following month, by the 20th of each month. Something can't be done to where that can be automatically.
You have to understand that we have a limited amount of positions that we can fill, and we have a waiting list of many children that want to get onto this program, because it is a program that has been looked at by many communities as to what we have done in the past and what we're currently doing. And it's been mirrored by many communities of what we do in this town for our camp program. This goes back to the Richie DiMauro stages. We've had such a great program. So with that said, we have a waiting list, so there has to be guidelines as to when parents sign their children up. We can't just say, well, you've got until the 19th, because we have 10 other people that want to take that one spot for that one parent that doesn't sign up their child. So unfortunately, we do have to have restrictions on when we can have you sign up for the following month.
So that's another change. Currently, the school is hosting it. They don't have any restrictions.
Sir, again, Mr. Martinson, this is not the Elmwood Park school system that has taken over this program.
No, the rec is taking it over, and now you're
Right.
saying there's a certain amount of available spots
That's correct.
for the aftercare program.
That's correct.
That's ridiculous.
Unfortunately, that's,
What are you going to say, only 50 children can go there?
That's not-
What are the other parents going to do?
no.
Where currently it's being hosted at the school system, we don't have that restriction.
As of right now, we have less than the capacity.
Right.
So we do have room for more children. They'll be separating, I think it's first, second, third. They'll be in the game room, and the fourth, fifth, sixth
Gilbert?
will be, no, in the community, in the seniors side, so that they'll both be separated, both be safe, be with their own kind. And to get back to your point before, you mentioned that you didn't like paying a month ahead of time.
No, I don't mind paying a month ahead of time. I just don't like having to go in, and what if I go in on the 15th, but all the spots are full? From what he's saying.
Well,
If you're if your child is active and you pay by the time that that child will be re-enrolled.
My only concern is why can't that just be automated?
well, we're looking into
Beginning of the year, I
that.
want to
Right.
sign a paper, bill me every month.
He's talking about debiting, which we're looking into,
Okay.
Something.
to an automatic debit. So
Okay.
that it's a lot easier, a month ahead of time, you don't have to think about it. You say, you get there a day late, oh my God, I don't have the money, my kid can't come in. That's the problem you're having. So if it's debited, you don't have to think about it.
Yeah, I don't write checks. The only checks I write is to the school,
So until we
after
do,
during lunch.
until we do put that in place, you're gonna have to write a check.
Well, I'm being told at the rec now, I can go on and pay by credit card, just like I did with the summer program.
All our
That's correct.
registrations are
Yes.
online.
But just that I have a time limit or my child is out is something different. Fine, I'll pay by the time, but to tell me that there is a limited amount of children that can go there, that's kind of ridiculous. Versus we don't have that now.
If we go to a movie theater that has 300 seats and everybody wants to see that movie, the 301st person cannot get into the movie. It's just a matter of how many spots that are available. And there's a lot of children that are on waiting lists.
I don't know of any children that are on waiting lists. You mean the waiting
Start-
list for the current
We have, sir,
program?
Mr. Moore.
The waiting list pertains to the summer camp program.
Right, the summer camp.
We're at max, and we are maintaining now a waiting list to see if some children drop out, parents choose to take them out of the program, then we have a waiting list for that. I don't believe we have a waiting list at this time. As
Not for the
Councilman
after-school,
Graziano said,
that's
for the
correct.
after-school program. And part of the deadline that Donna has put in place has to do with planning. I mean, we make Costco runs in order to buy snacks. We have to make sure that we have adequate staff there. So a lot of it has to do with planning for the month ahead. You know, we don't wait till the 30th day and say, okay, now we'd have to get enough snacks for the first of the month. We plan ahead of time to make sure that we're adequately stocked, that we have the proper materials, the proper needs that we have to service those children in an aftercare program.
How many staff members are currently watching the 400 at max for this coming?
We don't
The
have those numbers in front
The
of
resolution
us.
was on last week, but I have that information in my office.
Okay.
We passed a resolution 2 weeks ago approving the staff for the summer camp.
Okay. That's all I have.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
At this time, would anybody else like to be heard?
Change the tape. We need at least 20 minutes on this one.
Hope 20 minutes. I'm going handouts too.
Sir, what's your name?
Yes, I'm sorry. Tom Conboy, 135 Tooele Avenue, Elmwood Park. I want to apologize to the mayor, I'm sorry, council president. Just want to throw in one more mayor in there. When the mayor watches, he'll get mad. I would have worn my suit. Apologize, I was running from work, Joe. I definitely want to make sure I talk to the river guy. My anniversary's coming up, and I got to see about the accommodations on this island. I'm just going to go over there. I'm going to save some money. Just canoe out there. Anyway, I wish everything is fun.
Economical, Tom. It'll be
But
economical.
I do have some serious stuff here that I want to get out that really upset me as a previous city councilman. But first, I'd just like to also say, I'd like to thank the town for a great community day. It's always a great event. I've always enjoyed when I served as liaison of recreation of community day. It's a nice day to get everybody out and have a great day. So I want to congratulate everybody on a great job down there. You know, it's great to see all the different departments out there doing their thing. And it was nice, you know, over the years we used to get criticized about how it looked afterwards. And for the last couple of years, DPW was good enough to get out there, get the guys out there on a Saturday afternoon and do a nice cleanup. I think by 6 o'clock, you couldn't even tell it was community day, other than for the generator maybe off to the side, but really nice job. So congratulations to everybody on Community Day. You know, when you become a councilman, a lot of things go on, and in my tenure as a councilman, there was a lot of things thrown at us as a young group, but all of us came there, we all come with different backgrounds, and we wanted to put our backgrounds to use in those areas. And at the same time, you're dealt with whatever happens at the state level and so forth, and at the county level, and then you're told, deal with it and make things happen. So as many things come across our desk or through our iPads, for those of us who use them, council, you look at all the things you have to examine all the time. And one of the things that I think we did an awesome job, all of us together, along with our clerk at the time, and then we expanded his responsibilities because we believed he had all the right stuff to make that happen for us. And I'm still proud of that today, even though I took flack for it, but I'm still proud of it anyway. I'll never change my mind on that, Keith.
Thanks, Tom.
But as he knows, as you all probably have now had a good taste of it, a lot of times, a lot of things you have to evaluate. You want to do the right thing. And, I don't think we ever, and I don't want to put the clerk on the spot, but anybody who served on the council with me knows that I think we did a pretty good job doing our due diligence on everything. It just wasn't always, yep, that's it, yep, yes, no. There was a lot of discussion. Nothing got past us easily. And so that leads me to many areas that we explored to help the taxpayers. And when these issues come up, they're delicate because you want to make sure you evaluate everybody fairly. And at that time, one thing that we were...
Excuse me.
Yes, sorry.
Gentlemen, we gave you your time. We're trying to pay attention over here. Thank you. Sorry. Please proceed.
Thank you. I'm surprised you could hear them over me.
It's my ADD, it kicked in.
Yeah, there you go. All right, Joe. Thank you. Council President, acting Mr. Mann. Getting back to it, so you evaluate all these things. You look at how you're going to help the tax number. You can't worry about the county. You can't worry about the Board of Ed. You're going to really about what happens inside of your own. And as we evaluate these different things, things come at us. At the same time, when I served on council, and I don't think any time is any easier whether you served 10 years ago or today, you're constantly looking at things, what the state's doing at the state level, what laws they're paying, what they're passing, what they're proposing. And at this particular same time, we were looking at many different new laws that were coming down the pike. You had a very energetic, maybe that's not even the right word to use, but energetic in the sense of wanting to get things done, a new governor, and changing different laws, whether we agree or disagree and so forth. And then you also see the governing body in Trenton actually working with him and passing things unanimously or close enough anyway. And you start learning about a 2% cap, and you start learning about you're having to deal with that world and what it means, and all the trying to rein in expenses, and the belt continues to get tighter on municipalities that already had a pretty good healthy waistline. So now all of a sudden that belt's going to get a lot tighter and it's going to hurt, right? So you have at the time also, when a lot of this was going on, even the president, the state president, Steve Sweeney, was also starting to write new laws into effect if they were to be passed, where if municipalities didn't act on their own in shared services, they would be in jeopardy of losing funding from the state. And that funding is so crucial in so many different ways. So as Elmwood Park began its journey on looking at shared services across the board, again, as a councilman, you're looking at this and you're saying to yourself, well, we want home rule, we think we have the best department all the way from top to bottom and so forth, and you don't want yours to be the one that's going to be compromised or changed, because at the end of the day, the sensitivity about the whole thing is the people that you do have, and so forth. And so when I read the article while I was at jury duty on the 9th down in Bergen County, I got a text message, get a hold of the phone, get a paper before I got called in on a case. I started reading some things, and I tell you, man, oh man, did my blood pressure go. Thank God I was at jury duty. Part of me even debated if I should even come here tonight, but you know what? What I don't think is fair is that we did a lot of work. We explored a lot of opportunities there. We talked to multiple towns. Now, just because it's in black and white doesn't mean it's all accurate, or it's maybe missing some things. We did a lot of work with it. This wasn't an overnight decision when we looked at doing a shared service in our building department. It wasn't personal, it wasn't about a person or what you thought of a person on either end, at either town. We reached out to the civil service, we reached out to all the agencies involved, you know, where are we at? We seek legal advice. We explored the opportunities, we brought the parties involved in. Parties had an opportunity to state and express their feelings of how a shared service would work. You know, I read these depositions, and now I have all the depositions. So I said, like, I brought some handouts here. I read a lot of things in here, and I had to scratch my head saying, were we in the same meeting? Because it's not exactly what I remember, and not that mine is as sharp as the tack, but some things that are in these things really shock me, that are in some of these depositions. And you know, it's funny, I blame myself. Because as a councilman, I never thought of asking, well, how come we all don't get copies of these depositions? How come we're not reviewing these depositions? I mean, my name is in one of these depositions, and refers to me. I didn't know I was in this deposition until I had to go out and get it, which I just received in the last week. So when I read certain things in here, it's very shocking. I wonder if we were in the same meetings. Because I know we did our due diligence, and I know we followed it through, and decisions had to be made. And in particular, you know, in the article even here, and even in here, when I read the depositions, which I may even post online so everybody can read, they're all public knowledge, so when I read some of the things in here, and I think about the way that a councilman was characterized, offends me. Because again, we did do all our work. Regardless who brought it to the table, work was done. Nobody told us how to vote. Nobody told us to make any, make a decision because this one wants something or so forth. I remember when the people were brought in, the mayor, Rochelle Park, came in first with another council person. They described how it would work. And again, remember what I said when I started, along this conversation. We reached out to numerous towns. Some said, our clerk reached out to numerous towns. Some said we couldn't handle it. Some said, right now we're looking for this. Some were interested. They weren't sure when they were going to move. This wasn't like just one town and we decided to do something, okay? Everybody was up front about who they are and what they did. You know, we brought in the mayor, and he came in and with another council person, and then we said, okay, let's talk to both people. Let's talk to all sides. Let's make sure we're exploring all our options and so forth. And we did that as well. And when our own staff came in, we got, won't work, we'll fall behind, we won't be able to get our work done, we won't be able to do this, and so forth, and other things. When Rochelle Park came in and brought their presentation by their person, it was a very thorough report, very detailed. I had not met this man ever. I could barely, like the rest of the people in town, I have a tough time even taking care of my own home, so very rarely do I go to the building department. I think I've only been in the building department once. I got a fence a long time ago. So I never came across this gentleman. And I think something else I've stepped over is you have to understand something too. When you're a councilman, for the public here, when you're a councilman, you can't go in your own town. You can't get things done. You have to go to another town and get it done. In some cases, I believe it's designated. And again, mine's not as sharp as the tack, my memory, but how and when one of our councilmen was doing something in a neighboring town, everything was all brought out to light. And so when the individual came in from the other town, a lot of questions were asked. It was very detailed, had a very big, long report, explained how, when he was asked, how would you get the job done and so forth, since it's only half here, half there, and so forth, and said, I would do anything I need to do. If I got to work on weekends, I got to go visit neighbors, I'll open up Borough Hall here. A lot of things was brought together at that report. And even at the time, the entire council had an opportunity to ask questions. Some council even had an opportunity to voice how they were upset in their past dealings with this individual due to an issue on one of his properties, you know. So, and that was that person's line of questioning. So there's a lot of better ways that that could have been done. And, you know, I read these depositions, and I see, knowing being in that room, whether it was an executive or public, I'm gonna say it here tonight, I smell a little payback. I smell a little payback on some of these depositions, because maybe somebody in these depositions, or the way they wanted to portray these depositions, was with their own personal feelings about somebody and how they felt. So they kind of just took it right to the line. So that really bothers me a lot in these depositions on what happened, because I do believe, as I said, we did everything right. We followed the laws. We followed things that were brought to us. And if I have a moment here, I just want to share a few things. I mean, the mayor put it all out there at the last meeting. I believe maybe he went a little too far, but put it all out there. But who am I to say? But that was my opinion. I'm looking at here. Actually, I'll just go right to the end and save everybody here. You know, this was the first court proceeding. This was by Judge Conti. The court finds there was no conflict of interest which would have affected Mr. Chewinski's ability to vote on the SSA. Defendant Boland's position as a conflict construction official did not carry it with a salary, did not create an employee's relationship, and it did not place Defendant Boland under control of the governing body of Elmwood Park. He also reaffirmed the same thing regarding the way we acted. And at that time, he also said that in no way, shape, or form did the town of Elmwood Park do anything wrong, that they acted, what was the best one he says here, is they acted in a very fair and reasonable manner. I want to find it, because I don't want to misquote the judge. Never know if I appear in front of him. I hope not. But he says it in here, that he believed that the town acted in a very fair way, and in no way did he think that we did anything wrong. So, you know, again, we did our homework, we looked it all over. There wasn't an agenda on somebody, and I'm just upset about it. But I have the depositions, everything's in here. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you, Tom.
Is there anybody else in the public that would like to be heard? If not, at this moment, I'd like to close the public portion of the meeting. Ladies and gentlemen, I'd like to remind you all that this is being videotaped. It will be available on Cablevision, Channel 77, and Verizon Fios Channel 40 on Tuesdays at 12 p.m., Thursdays at 4 p.m., and Fridays at 10 a.m. This videotape will also be able to be seen on our borough website. Gentlemen, may I have a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Mr. Coletti, and seconded by Councilman Pettigano. Thank you, everyone, for showing up.